the upcoming regular meeting, set the consent agenda, hold public hearings, and receive other presentations. Regular meetings focus on action items, departmental reports, and other business. Both meetings are open to the public and held in the Hilda B. Palmer Boardroom in Town Hall, located at 460 South Salisbury Avenue. A printed copy of the entire agenda packet is available in the H.B. Palmer Boardroom for public use. Please find meeting agendas, minutes, and a link to view the meetings live or on demand at spencer.gov/town-government-services/meetings-and-agenda. This meeting is called to order. I am Pat Sledge. I'm acting as the chair for this meeting in the absence of Mayor Williams, who is out of town on business, and Mayor Pro Tem Sechrist, who will be joining us later. She's attending a presentation where her grandson is receiving an award this evening. Alderman Miller, would you give the invitation this evening?
Yes, ma'am. Will you please bow your head? Dear Heavenly Father, we would like to thank you for the gift of spring and the opportunity to gather for this meeting. We ask that you be with us at this time, guide our thoughts and actions, grant us the ability to discuss the needs of our community with open hearts and open minds. We also pray for our community, its citizens, and all our devoted employees. We ask it in your name. Amen.
Thank you. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Board, you have in front of you the information about our agenda for this evening. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion?
One question. Could we make the adjustment we had talked about related to item number 16 and the order in which it appears?
Thank you, Mr. Francis. Item 16, which is consider appointing Billy Lynn Sullivan to the Historic Preservation Commission for a 4-year term, will be moved up just after our public comment. Is that correct?
Or that or after consent agenda, either would be fine.
Or consent. Thank you. Are there any other additions or corrections? Is there a motion to accept the agenda as adjusted?
I make a motion that we accept the agenda as planned.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Is there a second? Mr. Howell, thank you. This is the time that we set aside for recognition, and I wanted personally to do a recommendation for the Community Garden Tea Party fundraiser. Our Community Appearance Commission here does a couple of events each year, and a few weeks ago they had a tea party in our community garden. It was a delightful day. Started out kind of cold that morning, but by afternoon the weather was lovely, and the committee members all brought baked goods and items for us to all enjoy. A tea merchant from Concord, I believe, came and had a choice of 3 different types of tea for us to taste, and there were hundreds of little tea cups and saucers there for the people who came and enjoyed the day. So I wanted to thank Amy Ray, who is the chair, and the other board members of that commission for putting that on. Even though the crowd was smaller this year than last, they still raised $550 during that fundraiser for the community garden. And if you haven't visited the community garden, I would encourage you to do so. We have blueberry plants that are putting on fruit. We have some plum trees there that have fruit that will be ripening later on. And there's also space for people who want to do gardening in some of the raised boxes. So if you have interest, talk to someone at Town Hall about how to get involved with the community garden. So Board Member Howell has called to my attention that I failed to ask for the vote on accepting the agenda. Okay, so we had a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, no. The motion carries. And the chair would note that we have a quorum to do business tonight with 4 of the 6-member body present. We can proceed. Thank you, Mr. Howell, keeping me in line. The floor is now open for public comment. This agenda item is included to allow input to the Board of Aldermen from any citizen who wishes to address the board without requesting to be on the agenda. Those who wish to address the Board of Aldermen must provide their name, address, and topic to be addressed. The board will listen and may or may not respond at their discretion, or may decide to place a topic on a future agenda. A speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. The floor is open for public comment. Is there anyone who is here and would like to speak? Okay, well, since we have no one who is here to speak, we will move on to our next item of business. And I will close the public hearing, or the public comment session. The consent agenda is the first order of business. The items listed are believed to be non-controversial and administrative in nature. There will be no separate discussion of the items unless an alderman or citizen requests and is granted permission to speak. The items will then be removed from the consent agenda and considered individually. Otherwise, all items will be enacted by one motion. Is there anyone on the board who wishes to remove an item from the consent agenda for further discussion? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as is.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, no. The motion carries. Okay, so item 16 now. Our planner, Kyle Harris, is not with us today. Mr. Francis, will you please address this issue then for us?
Yes, I'm happy to introduce this item. We have an appointment for the board to consider for our Historic Preservation Commission. We have tonight Billy Sullivan, and she has applied and been unanimously recommended by the Historic Preservation Commission to fulfill the final vacancy on that board. And so with that, I'll invite Billy to come and to the lectern and introduce herself to you, and then y'all can ask any questions you might have.
I'm Billy Sullivan. As most of y'all have already met, my son Hamish Hyatt. We are new to the town of Spencer, just moved out here around February time in a newly renovated house, which is what caught my attention because we have always really loved historical buildings in general. We're those types of people that used to walk the railroad track when you're not supposed to, just to find all the cool little buildings hiding in the forest. And we used to always moan about the fact that you find old buildings that, you know, you could tell have been in history and have been very old and are just falling apart out where I used to live in Woodleaf. And, you know, I said, if I could ever be a part of something like that to try and preserve that history anywhere, you know, that I would make it to where it was a thing. And so here I stand in front of you wanting to make it a thing, you know, and my son really loves history too, and I think it's a good way to get him involved. He's homeschooled. He wants to be all up in it too, so here we are.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your interest. Are there any questions from the board? For Ms. Sullivan?
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome to Spencer and
Thank
welcome
you.
to the
Yeah, I'm
Historic
excited.
Preservation Commission.
Yeah,
Thank you for
excited.
your service.
Yes. Yeah.
I would at this time call for a motion.
I make this motion that we accept Ms. Sullivan as a member of the Historic Preservation Commission.
There's a second.
I'll second.
Mr. Howell, thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, no. The motion carries. Ms. Sullivan, welcome to Spencer and welcome to the Historic Preservation Commission for a 4-year term, and we look forward to seeing the things that you bring to this committee.
Yeah, thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, young man, for coming along.
Hamish, you're sprung. You don't have to sit through the whole thing now.
You're welcome to you're welcome to stay as long as you wish. Okay. Our next item of business is the consideration of adopting Resolution 2507, opposing legislative preemption of local government planning and zoning. Mr. Franzese or Mr. Blunt, one of you would like to present this information?
Francis escaped. Oh, there he is. Did you want to address this issue?
I'm sorry.
This is the resolution opposing the
Correct.
legislation.
Yeah, so, and Mr. Blunt can certainly jump in, but this was, as discussed by Mayor Williams last week, he had requested that the board consider a resolution opposing the bill that's moving through the General Assembly, known as HB 765. There is before you a draft resolution that was based on a similar resolution that was provided by the town of Granite Quarry. We made a few adjustments that we felt were appropriate to Spencer's and to Spencer's situation, and the cover sheet has some language that has been provided by the North Carolina League of Municipalities that has been working to activate all the local governments around the state on this issue. Mr. Blunt has provided an analysis several weeks back about this, and his takeaway was that a lot of the issues that are specific concerns may not necessarily be an issue for us in Spencer, just because of how efficiently we're already going about some things, but in the spirit of solidarity with our neighbors and peers, and the idea that we do want to retain the local authority that we have in this matter. That's the spirit of the resolution before you. So, Steve, add anything you'd like to that?
Well, as I discussed it with the manager, the intent of this bill was good. It was trying to reduce the cost of housing so that there will be affordable housing for the working class people in our communities. In some places, they may have gone overboard in what they were trying to accomplish, and certainly the statute as it's written will have a major impact on certain communities. Primarily, very large communities are growing very quickly, have an overload of applications for zoning permits and building permits, etc. The statute as written puts a time limit on how long they can take to approve those. We don't have that problem, although we do have good growth. Our development ordinance and our processes that y'all have approved and we've set up move things through our process very quickly. Also, very small communities that contract out their planning services, that planning person may not be in the office but once or twice a month, and therefore an application at a certain time of the month may languish for weeks and weeks. So that was what the statute was meant to address, that and some other things, as is the case with a lot of state statutes. They don't fit everybody the same. Nobody, it's not one size fits all, and they need to take that in consideration when they hopefully take another look at this statute.
Thank you, Mr. Blunt.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. Should I read this resolution?
You don't have to. You can if you like. I think it's
Do you have sufficient information about it?
okay.
All right. Are there any questions from the board?
May I make a quick comment?
Certainly.
To echo Mr. Blunt and Mr. Franzese and a lot of our communities that are expressed concern about this. And unfortunately, we've already talked about one a few months ago that changed down zoning. There's about a dozen other bills that do various things to land use. As Mr. Blunt said, there are a lot of good intentions. We're trying to make housing more affordable, more available. Those are all noble goals. The problem is we're performing brain surgery with a jackhammer. And there's a handful of communities that are either anti-development or anti-particular types of development that have become problems. The General Assembly is absolutely right to try to root that out. But that's not here. We're pro-development. We want people to come and spend their money here. And I think the concern is this is not only an overreach, this is not a pendulum swing, this is the pendulum falling off. So I'm not ignorant to believe that hundreds of people are going to see this, but to the extent that you do, please email your representatives and say that while these goals are laudable, and yes, keep at it, try to work at it, this is not the way to go about this. This is taking our ability away to craft local legislation that fits our needs for every community. And those communities that present a problem or are challenged in court or whatever it is, deal with those directly. This is not how we get here, and I'm not naive enough to believe that there are certain lobbies in the state that have lots of influence, and they are going to benefit monetarily from these changes. We will be punished. They will have money in their pockets, and it will not be middle-income home buyers. It will be folks who are building those middle-income homes and who are developing those properties, millionaires and billionaires and shareholders. It will not be mom and pop. It will not be aunt and uncle. It will not be teachers and police officers. It will be Wall Street traders and people who invest in those types of companies and people who own large or regional construction and development firms. That's who will benefit from this. So please reach out and tell your folks that who you vote for that this is not the way to go about this.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Are there any other comments? Is there a motion to accept this resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Howell, thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you. Our next piece of business is the ordinance to adopt or to annex parcel number 051052 located along Willow Creek Drive and addressed as 1230 Long Ferry Road. I'd like to invite our Planning and Zoning Administrator, Mr. Blunt, to present the request to the board. And he's already there.
I didn't go far. Like if you'll cue that one up for me. This has been presented to you twice before. We have held a public hearing. We have advertised it twice. We've posted the property. We've heard from some of the public. I've had a few calls about it. This is an annexation of a property. As I explained, it's addressed as a Long Ferry Road property, but the majority of the property faces Willow Creek Drive, and we will actually readdress it to a Willow Creek address. The blue shape there is where it's located to the east of the Long Ferry Road I-85 intersection. These are surrounding developments that you have seen in the past year or so. A lot of commercial and industrial development being planned and executed in this area. Closing in a little on the property, you see the little piece on the south side of Willow Creek there in the curve. That's why it's addressed as 1230 Long Ferry Road. That was the original address for the whole property before Willow Creek was even built. But as you can see, the majority of the property faces Willow Creek at this time. And the person who is applying for this annexation and the rezoning we'll discuss in just a minute plans to build a 3-story, 30,000 square foot building for her business. First floor would be retail businesses of various types. Second and third floor would be her administrative offices for her growing business. She expects to spend in the $12 million range on this development. That was a timeline. The most important date's the last one there. She still expects occupancy around October of 2026 on this project. Spoke to her when she was here for the public hearing. This was my original guess at what a 10,000 square foot footprint of a three-story building would look like, and the fact that it would not use up the whole property. They actually have reached the site plan phase, and this is where she actually is going to locate it, facing I-85 on the back part of the property instead of the front part. And that front part, I don't know if you can read it, but it basically says that's an out parcel, 7-acre out parcel. I was intriguing you with the concept of the fact that we used to have a three-story, 30,000 square foot building right here in Spencer, over here on the corner. Can't imagine why that got torn down. It's a beautiful building. Her building's going to be attractive too, much more modern, obviously, but this is what it's going to look like. That's the front facade of the building, a lot of glass. I'll go ahead and make this part of the presentation. This is statutorily, when we annex a piece of property, if it's not already zoned by our municipality, we have to apply a proper zoning classification to the part that's not zoned by us. And there is that little sliver, that little triangular piece on the east side that was in Rowan County's zoning jurisdiction. It was their RA classification. We will be suggesting that you change that to C85, which is what the rest of the parcel was already zoned. And we're down to the last part of that slide. Tonight we will be asked to adopt two ordinances, one for the annexation, one for the rezoning. As I usually do with annexations, one thing that you need to consider as a board is what the cost is versus the revenue. And obviously a $12 million investment creates a considerable amount of tax base and tax revenue for the property tax. It creates job opportunities for our citizens. And then on the other side of the equation, we look at what the cost would be. As a commercial building, there's no trash pickup by us. She has to contract with a private contractor to pick up the dumpsters. There are no new roads, so we don't have to service any of the roads and repair roads. The police department will have to cover this area, but they're already out there for other projects. And as a commercial building of this type, there's not a lot of crime involved. It's not a residential area. The final case is fire protection. And we would intend to negotiate with Miller Ferry Fire Department, who now covers this area, for some limited amount of time and at some to be determined cost to the town to keep them as the primary response fire department to this area. So initially it won't be a burden on our fire department, other than the fact that we already respond to calls out there. So I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Board, are there any questions?
Just I guess a quick question on that, on the fire issue. Chief, does that work for you, or is that? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Would I'll jump in, and Chief Lanning, feel free to come forward. I think Mr. Blunt, I'll try to maybe recharacterize that. I think that we've been in talks with Miller's Ferry about growth in this area, and it hasn't been about them being primary response, but more about what a shared response type model might look like, and with collaboration on training and those sorts of things. So, Chief Lanning, I don't know if you'd like to add to it with that.
No, and that's exactly what my thought process was. Some sort of a collaboration, similar to, I believe, what at some point was in the works for the development on Willow Creek that we really haven't moved forward on yet. But as far as I'm concerned, it should be our primary. But again, obviously, would ultimately be taking a little from them. So what does that look like for both organizations' best interest?
Chief, before you leave, can you remind us, do you have any concerns about servicing a three-story building? Do you have the equipment?
Currently, no. Obviously, it'll be a little different. At the end of the day, fighting a fire is the same on one story versus three. Right? There's really not a big difference. The only concern, and I would have to actually run the ISO numbers, is to ensure that we don't get above the quota that the state says, hey, if you have anything 3 stories or above, I don't even want to guess off the top of my head without reading, is at what point is an aerial or a truck company going to be required for our ISO rating, right? Because as much as the growth is positive, I don't want to do anything to jeopardize our ISO rating. But Currently, the city of Salisbury brings us 2 engines and a ladder to all structural responses anyways. And so I think for the meantime, we'll be completely fine being covered with that.
Will there be mutual assistance between the two fire departments just in case of emergency on this property as far as that goes?
In terms of what 2 organizations?
Your department and Miller's Ferry.
Yeah, so obviously, again, what does that plan look like? We can tailor that to whatever the need is. And myself and Peter have talked before is not to say we don't want them, but at some point we have to question too, is having both agencies respond to emergency traffic, right? What is the liabilities of us just driving emergency traffic? Is it necessary? Is it truly unnecessary? Again, not to try to cut anybody out, right? We all want to be good stewards and neighbors for each other. But are some of those things maybe in an attempt to extend the olive branch, is it truly necessary?
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Is there any question with Rowan County about annexing this little slither of property in as far as that goes?
Well, the annexation is the whole property, which is now in our ETJ.
Yeah.
A small sliver as far as rezoning, they have no concerns
I
about
don't
that.
have any problems with that.
And we've already talked to them about the readdressing to Willow Creek, and they're happy about that
Okay,
also.
so they understand. Yes, sir.
All right. If there are no further questions, is there a motion to,
I make a motion that we accept this annex property from 1230 Long Ferry Road.
thank you, Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Howell, thank you. All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Our next order of business is to consider an ordinance of adoption to rezone parcel 051052 located along Willow Creek Drive and addressed as 1230 Long Ferry Road. Mr. Blunt.
And again, I pointed that out to you in the slideshow. There was a small sliver of property that was not in our ETJ. It was currently zoned by Rowan County as their RA classification. And by statute, we have to rezone it to one of our classifications. We are suggesting rezoning to the C85, which matches what the rest of the property is already zoned.
Okay. Thank you. Are there questions?
Just to verify the comments made last Thursday, this is only this particular property, no other particular property is correct?
As far as the annexation and the rezoning, it's just this property, and I wrote Ms. Miller a letter to explain all that to her, so hopefully she'll understand it in detail.
Just want to make it so it's publicly known that we did that as far as that goes.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Is there a motion, or are there any other questions, I guess? Okay. Is there a motion to accept this ordinance?
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 25-07 as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. Thank you, Mr. Howell. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Our next piece of business is the ordinance adoption of the I-85 sign ordinance amendment.
And this one has been presented to you several times also. It is in response to some developers in the I-85 corridor and Long Ferry Road area needing signs that can be read from I-85 traffic. And what we have done is researched what other communities are doing in this case. Salisbury happened to have a good ordinance that created a corridor. And what we have done is copied that philosophy, and that's the ordinance. You have a copy of it in your packet, but that's the visual that will tell you what will happen. 500 feet on either side of 85 and 1,500 foot radius around the intersection of Long Ferry Road and I-85. We will allow what's called pylon signs, on-site pylon signs. We are not allowing off-site billboard signs at this time. We're not suggesting that. So this would just be a business that needs a sign for their particular business, and it goes by that chart there at the bottom as to how big it can be and how tall it can be. Be glad to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? I think I see your brain working.
Are we going to be forced? I know the outdoor sign lobby is a big lobby. We're going to be forced to allow billboards at some point. I mean, I know it's not related to this, but I'm just curious.
We might be forced to allow on-site billboards. This might preclude that, just by letting them have a pylon sign, which is a single post and a bigger sign up high, might do away with somebody claiming we're interfering with their ability to advertise their business. I don't think we're in the point yet where we have to worry about off-site billboard signs being required. So.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance 2508, amending Article 17 of the Town's Development Ordinance addressing signs in the I-85 corridor?
Sledge, I move we adopt the ordinance as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, all right. I think, Mr. Blunt, I believe you're up again.
Yes, ma'am.
Or still up. Our next item of business is the approval of the Salisbury Spencer Growth Area Agreement. Mr. Blunt?
This is a fairly simple agreement that's been in the makings for a long time. I won't rehash the history of it, but basically it's if you remember when the Hawkins Meadows townhome project came up and we were asked to annex that property, we ended up having to actually go to Salisbury and ask their permission. We both had to adopt an annexation agreement for that single property at that time because it was physically closer to Salisbury's municipal boundaries than it was to ours. What this agreement does is takes all the properties in that area, and I'll scan over to that map, and basically says that we're going to prevent having to do it piece by piece. We're going to enter into an agreement that shows on which side of that line, if somebody wants to be annexed into a municipality, on the right-hand side, Spencer would be the one they would come to. On the left-hand side, Salisbury is the one they would go to. It's a fairly logical line that runs from Grants Creek up to 7th Street and then across to Garrick Road and Garrick Road up to Ridge Road. And as we emphasize every time we show these slides, this is not an indication that we intend to go out and annex these properties. We are not going to annex any properties unless an individual property owner comes to us and asks to be annexed. We can't do it by law, and we don't want to do it by instinct. So this is just a plan to avoid having to go through those piecemeal agreements as we grow into the future. Be glad to answer any questions.
Board members, do you have questions?
Okay, I got a question. A really simple question. They took a little sliver to the right of Garrett Road, and that's for a housing development. Why did they do that?
When the original, that's probably not the best one. When our original ETJ line was drawn, it was drawn as 1 mile from our existing municipal boundaries. That was back in the 70s.
Okay.
And as you see in that diagonal line, it cut across properties. Right. Individual properties are divided in two.
Right.
And that is very confusing. As Salisbury was growing its ETJ, because they were larger, they were allowed to go out 2 miles. We as a small municipality were allowed to go out 1 mile. So their ETJ was longer and wider than ours. That's how they ended up getting that little piece of property on the east side of Garrick Road. They agree that that property should be controlled by us, as we agree that that little piece at the corner of 7th and Garrick needs to be controlled by Salisbury. So as a part of this, instead of exchanging ETJs, we're just going to say, here's the growth agreement. So for now, they're still going to control zoning in that little piece, and we're going to control zoning in the other little piece. But if somebody wants to be annexed, we go by this agreement. Right. Changing an ETJ is something that I wanted to do along with this process to get it cleaned up on both sides. But changing an ETJ is a whole nother level of complexity. and we have to get the county involved when we do that. So
Just so irregularity, it should follow Garrett Road, it looks like, instead of cutting in like
it's,
that.
it's a nice, simple,
I
straight
just
line.
think that's, I
I'm a
mean, we
simple
have
guy.
that situation with mailboxes down here on 3rd Street. And to me, that looks like the same situation that we're accepting right there. I think it's wrong.
Any other questions? And I believe I read in the Salisbury Post that they voted, the Salisbury City Council voted this week to accept their portion of it.
They did. We coordinated so that there's a trigger in the agreement that says if you haven't adopted it in 90 days, it goes away. So we made sure that we were both going to adopt it in the same month to keep it copacetic.
Thank you, Mr. Blunt. Is there a motion to accept this agreement?
I move that we accept it as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Second? Second. Ms. Moody, thank you. All those in favor, please say, raise your hand. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And I will tell you, we have a similar agreement in the works with East Spencer for the east side of our town, and that's agreed to in principle. I sent them the documentation this week. Hopefully it'll be on your agenda for next month to get that one taken care of.
Thank you, Mr. Blunt. At this time, I'll call our Special Projects Planner, Joe Morris, to come and talk to us about his plan.
So, good evening, Board. The Mayor and Board of Aldermen on April 8th adopted Ordinance 25-03 to create a 5-member Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. And in that discussion, the Board of Aldermen expressed an interest in expanding the board to 6 members. And so the town clerk has prepared an ordinance that is 25-03.01, which amends the ordinance. It's in the agenda packet. This has strike-throughs and yellow highlights. That would change the language of the ordinance to increase the number of members from 5 to 6. And so staff is recommending that the Board of Aldermen adopt Ordinance 25-03.01.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. And I remember the conversation that we had. We had six good candidates apply for the position, and so the discussion was that we should increase the size of that board, that advisory board, to include that 6th member. So thank you for that. Are there any questions?
I would like for you, I don't have a question on that particular area, but I hope you, after this, you will kind of enlighten us on what's going on with this committee.
That'll be part of the departmental report. I'm coordinating with the town clerk on that.
Very good.
We do have an update.
Thank you, sir.
It's not.
I make a motion that we accept the 6-member committee making up the Park and Recreation Advisory Board.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, so Mr. Morris, do you want to talk to us about the 6th member?
Yes, ma'am. Based on order of submittal of applications, Mr. Sparter was appointed as an alternate to the board, and now given the opportunity to reflect the modification, the amendment to the ordinance that creates a 6-member advisory board, we are asking the Board of Aldermen to consider appointing Phip Sparker as a member of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Are there any questions? I do have one, Joe, that I've wondered about. If someone doesn't stay on that board, will we be required to find another 6th person, or will it always need to be 6 people, or how does that work?
Well, at this moment in time, we have a 6-member board.
Right.
And so there are bylaws that have been adopted by the advisory board that will be submitted to the Board of Aldermen for approval at the next meeting. And potentially it would require another change in the ordinance. It could be 5 or 6 if you wanted it to be 5 or 6. So
just wondered if, yeah.
The nature of the conversation is that it's an advisory board, and if there's a tie, you just advise the board, the town board, that it was 50-50 split on a particular issue. So there's no authority that the board has, so everything is advisory. And we're just glad to have people interested in Parks and Recreation in Spencer, and so we're trying to accommodate as many of those as we can.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a motion to appoint Mr. Sparger as the 6th member of the PRAB?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Howell, thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries, and Mr. Sparger will become our 6th member of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, also known as the PRAB. Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome.
Our next piece of business is to authorize the manager to sign a memorandum of agreement with Central Atlanta Regional Council for the Brownfields Assessment Program. Mr. Francis, would you like to talk to us about that?
Yes, thank you very much. So this is an item that the folks at Central Atlanta have asked us to consider. They shared that there was good news from the EPA Region 4 representative that the Brownfields program and the coalition grant that's underway remains a priority for the EPA and all levels of the federal government. And as part of the regional assessment grant, Central Atlanta is required that this multi-party memorandum of agreement be executed, and it includes Central Atlanta as well as our town and Mount Holly as well. And so the memorandum develops a base partnership between the parties, but does not require funding or other things. That'll the funding comes from the EPA. So what you have in the packet is the agreement. If there were other questions you have, they did provide an FAQ document that we can share with you, but it's a fairly procedural type of thing just to meet these requirements.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Are we partnered with Mount Holly? I guess we're the 2 potential sub-recipients or of this money. Is that?
So as part of the regional coalition grant application, Spencer and Mount Holly were identified as key partners with kind of top priority sites that they're focusing on, and ours being the finishing company site. And so that's why we're party to this agreement.
Got it.
I think the question I had was about their retaining consultants and contractors. Is that's up to them to manage all that, correct?
It is, and they have already gone through procurement procedures. They've selected a consultant called Stantec. That consultant actually assisted them with the grant application process and is their consultant to do the work that will be funded through this grant. And so, but yes, that is all being handled by Central Atlanta.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Is there a motion to authorize our town manager to enter into a Brownfields Assessment Coalition Memorandum of Agreement with Central Atlanta Regional Council in the city of Mount Holly?
I move that we do that.
Mr. Howell, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Miller, thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Our next step is our departmental reports, since we've moved Ms. Sullivan up. So, Mr. Blunt.
Members of the board, normally I try to get this one done really quickly, but I wanted to tell you a few other things while I'm here. Follow up to that report from the manager, we did get a copy of the $100,000 North Carolina Railroad grant for the Brownfield assessment today. It's actually a $99,800 grant for some reason, but that arrived today. We are doing our due diligence on the language of that, and you've already given the manager authority to negotiate that. And some days are busier than others. I just want to let you know that I issued 6 zoning permits today, 5 of them for new single-family homes. And we're, even in a slight slowdown in the economy, we're on record to beat the number of single-family homes that we built last year. So things are still booming in Spencer. And with that, I will tell you what I normally tell you. You have my written report. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
What is the status of our development down on Loans Ferry with the
Truck stop. Talked to Mr. Singh, who is the owner of that, yesterday. He told me that they ran into a problem with the Duke power lines that go across that property. Although they had gotten permission to build in the right-of-way, the lines were so low that they were too close to the building itself. So Duke Energy is going to move the lines over. That's what's caused a hiccup in construction. He still plans to finish that project by the end of the year, is what he told me.
Okay, good.
Anyone have any other questions? I do have one other question.
Yes, ma'am.
There's some addition being done to a building down, I believe it's the property that is the motorcycle shop or motorcycle. Do they need to have, or did they get a permit to do that, or is there a need
Code
for
enforcement
permit?
has been advised to check with them to see if they're actually building something that would require a permit. And then the other side of that is that because of their property being in the right-of-way of the railroad, they have to get permission from the railroad company. So we're aware of that one and we're looking into it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there are no other questions, then our next.
I think Joe had something he wanted to update you.
Okay, the chair recognizes.
Sounds like not yet.
Joe, not yet.
Okay. I thought you were being the
Okay, all right. So our next report then is from Code Enforcement. So, Police Chief Fowle, are you here? Yes, you are.
Hiding in the back.
Good evening, board. Hope you're doing well.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I have provided the monthly code enforcement report. Again, a busy month. This is a busy time of year for us with grass growing. So you can imagine, it's just trying to keep your head above the grass right now. In the month of April, we opened up 42 cases. Preston continues to amaze me in how fast he works with the citizens to resolve these. It looks like for 2025, we've already done 125 cases. 64 of those have already been voluntarily abated. So if you look at the actual status report, I always like to kind of direct you to the back pages that have the blue text on them. Those are all of the cases where he made visits this month and was able to make changes, either by issuing NOVs, by showing the individual have voluntary compliance or voluntary abatement, or by pursuing further methods. So he made a lot of movement this month, and I'm certainly happy with how he's doing for us. But I will try to answer any code enforcement questions you may have.
You may not know the answer to this, but I did notice chickens was on the list, and I was wondering was wondering if that was in our chicken.
I actually don't know.
Or if that was just someone who went out and got
They
them.
were not in the program, and I honestly do not know if they have got into it yet. I know that was the recommendation. I believe Preston explained to them. Okay. I know he explained to them what they needed to do. If I understand right from speaking with him, they're already in compliance. They just need to get the paperwork.
So to my knowledge, then, we don't have any pilot chicken participants who have had issues.
I don't believe so. Yep.
Thanks.
No
I was
problem.
like, uh-oh, chickens.
And I expect these will actually get into the program. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't actually submitted the paperwork. They were very, very willing to comply with it. So
That's not you, Mr. Blunt, is it?
My wife is yet, but you got one I don't know about.
Are there any other questions? If not, then we will accept a report from our police department.
all righty. I have, again, provided the standard monthly report for the police department. You notice some of these numbers are down just a little bit from the previous month. Your ACE team report obviously is a little bit less than what is standard due to the one individual that's still on light duty from his traffic accident. So we're certainly glad he's doing well, and I think he'll be hitting the street back sometime in June, most likely. So we had 2,891 total events for the month. Again, we have lost one employee, so the numbers are down slightly. To kind of give a quick staffing update, I have 2 other employees that have submitted their indication to go elsewhere, unfortunately for money. So we have not received the actual 2-week notice, but they both are in process with other agencies that have contacted me to get information about their employment here. So these numbers are slightly down, but the guys are holding their own and doing a really good job. Obviously, this is a busy time of year for us, so if this occurred in the dead of winter, you probably would see these numbers a little bit lower than what they are now, but we are having a lot of dispatch calls, so it is keeping that call volume up towards that 3,000, kind of what I would call the standard monthly limit. But I will try to answer any questions you may have about the police department report.
Anyone have any questions? I would like to say that I did not realize the speed limit on Long Ferry Road was 35, and I was reminded of that on Sunday. And I want to thank that officer for being very kind and asking me to slow down.
Well, good. Hopefully they were kind. I expect that out of them, so I'm sure
I
they
saw
were.
him. I waved at him as I went by.
I've ever heard that put. I was reminded.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fire Chief Michael Lanning, do you have a report for us?
Good afternoon, Board. You have my prepared report before you, and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I would like to plug that I saw the advertisement for summer camp.
Yes, that was
Shared.
posted this
Very
morning.
excited.
So hopefully we'll beat last year. I think last year we had 12. So it's got on the application and the posting is capped at 15, but if we have 20, we have 20.
That's good. Good.
The more the merrier.
Good.
Absolutely.
You do a good job.
Yeah,
I
I was
appreciate it.
excited to see that.
Any questions?
That's right.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
One thing I'll note is, and
Yeah.
Chief Lanning's tired of me saying this, probably, but a few weeks back I was able to help present the Student of the Quarter Award at North Rowan High School, and the recipient was somebody who is getting ready to graduate and has been part of the Fire Academy program. And I'm trying to put as much pressure on him as I can to have him consider our career opportunities. So.
Yes.
Anyhow, that was an exciting moment to see somebody who's here and interested, hopefully in a career in fire service, and by all accounts, just an outstanding young person.
Absolutely. Cool. Unfortunately for us, but possibly fortunate for him, we have an open. So. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Taylor, Public Works.
Good evening, members of the board. All of our regular services are running on schedule. We are a little behind on the brush because of the rain, but they'll catch back up tomorrow on the short day, so we'll be back before the end of the week. We will be observing the Memorial Day holiday on May 26th, so trash will be one day late that week. Monday will just go to Tuesday, Tuesday to Wednesday, and then we'll still have Friday for the bulky, so nothing will change, just one day late. We had a great mulch giveaway in the spring, but we still have mulch available to anyone who's listening. If you want some, please come get it. So we just want to put that in there and let them know, and that way y'all can pass it out. This is the fee schedule if they want it, and just let us or town hall know, and we'll get it to them. We had a great day with the United Way on May the 1st. It definitely was a group effort to tear a roof off of a building. That was interesting. I think Mr. Miller was there. So they've got most of that done, but there will be another day scheduled, I'm sure, for the paint and, to get all that finished up. But we had a great day. So, we've done a lot of work at the Old Town Hall. They're actually in the process of doing the asbestos abatement. They started taping everything yesterday. I don't know exactly what they got done today. Probably finished taping, the windows, doors, that kind of stuff. And then they'll be removing all the flooring and ceiling tiles and pipes and all that kind of stuff that they need to. So it is in the process of being done. Update on the CCAP. I actually had a pre-construction meeting this morning. So the contractor has been set. Everything is done. Still working out a few details on the paperwork, but the contractor is supposed to start the first week of June. So he will be breaking ground as of the first week of June. He'll be moving equipment in the last week, Memorial Day week, but he won't probably start until that first week of June. And that gives us plenty of time. He's looking at probably a week to do the work. Yeah. It's about 180 feet of creek work. And then, of course, we'll be doing partial of that to, subsidize the grant. We have to come up with 25%. We're going to do it in work, not in, pay. So we'll supplement with it. And then we will have I'm going to send out some notice and that kind of stuff. But we will have that area of the road will be shut for that week. Because everything that he has, there's no way to get it out unless we pile it in the street. So we'll have to do some detour and routing around for a week. But if it laps into the second week, we will have it open for the weekend. We won't keep the road closed for the weekend. So we'll work on that as it comes up. One last thing, I've had several residents call wanting the contact info for the contractor that's doing the direct boring in town up Main Street. You may or may not have seen them. I did get that contact number today from Salisbury Rowan. So I will reach out to those citizens and let them know in the morning. I didn't get it till 5:30 this afternoon. So as soon as I I'll get that to those residents so we can get that reported and get their stuff fixed.
Is it something related to fiber cables or
I really won't know until I talk to them. I know that they're just putting in conduit right now, so I don't know what they're going to be putting through it. But it has something to do with communications is all I know. Mm-hmm. And nothing's.
I noticed they've messed up several yards. And
they have.
And they haven't just left it.
And just left it. And one of those, there's actually a hole in her front yard with just the pipe sticking out. So those are the type of things I need to get hold of the supervisor. Brandy says get hold of him. He'll meet me here. We'll give him the addresses and we'll get that corrected. Mr. Raper had some issues with some of the brick columns in front of his house up there at the business. Really? They actually knocked one of those over. So anyway, I finally got the contact information, so we'll get that out to them. If you hear about anybody that has issues with this, tell them to call me, and I'll get them connected with the right people. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'll answer any questions.
Just a quick, comment / request. One of my neighbors mentioned the big cherry tree growing up in the right of way of Whitehead. Or not, right there at the corner of Alexander and Whitehead.
They just sent a request in. I got it.
Oh, okay, yeah. He wanted me to mention that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yep. Yeah,
it is getting pretty big. It's pretty
okay. We sent it. I'm assuming that's what it is because it's at that Alexander Whitehead intersection.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
So we'll get out there and do some limbing or something.
Appreciate
to take care of. No problem.
I noticed too that there had been a tree that had damage at Library Park.
Yes, ma'am. It has been removed.
Is it just wind damage or?
I assume Friday afternoon, late that afternoon, when the rain stopped and the wind started, it fell. And all my guys had already gone home, so I turned around and came back up here. It was already sitting on the ground, so I didn't worry about it till yesterday. And then, of course, the monsoon hit. But We had several of those elm trees do that. I don't know, they just don't, they don't grow really well in the forks, and water got in behind it and split it off. The other one lasted about 2 years after that happened to it, so maybe this one will last a little bit longer. But from the street side, you can't tell.
Yeah.
You really don't even know. It's when you're in the park looking out that you'll actually be able to see it. So, but all of it's been cleaned up. Everything's good. The tree is safe as far as we can tell. So we'll continue to monitor if it's something. We will be removing the dead one in Jefferson Park probably next week. That one will be coming down. I had to get someone to do it. Too many power lines, so they'll have to drop it to pieces. So.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Taylor? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, our finance report was presented during our pre-agenda meeting, and the information is in the packet. Are there any questions about that to Mr. Francis? All right, so then we will now receive our report from the library. Town Clerk Anna.
Good evening. This past month, Librarian McCaw put on a couple of events. One of them was focused on springtime, and they did story and crafts. And then she also was able to go to the community day at North Moran Middle School and told them about the summer reading program coming up, which this year she's doing adventures around the world. And there is a schedule in the packet with the various performers, and it's every Wednesday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. roughly. Sometimes there are some other changes, and June 7th will be the big kickoff event with several performers.
Thank you, Ms. Anna. The town manager, would you?
Joe. Oh, Joe needs
to
come up. Sorry.
Okay. It's good to see you again, Joe.
We'll call this the Library and Active Living Report.
Okay, the Library and Active...
Part B is presented by Joe.
Active Living Report, okay.
As opposed to inactive living. We're working out the various kinks in terms of how this is presented, but the Parks and Recreation department staff will report to the town clerk, and so that's why it's being kind of handled this way. But for the time being, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board has met a couple of times already. They were very accommodating in terms of scheduling a meeting to discuss the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grant application that we submitted prior to May 1st for the Forest Center project, 401 11th Street. And so for the first time in our history of applying for Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grants, we'll be able to check a box that says that the project is approved by Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. So that's like 6 points. Wow. Good stuff. And then they immediately turn around and set another meeting, and so there'll be, for now, meeting on the second Wednesday of each month. And so we met last week, and they had a very ambitious slate of things that immediately popped out that they want to do, and we'll be sharing that with the board on a monthly basis. The first thing they mentioned is they want to establish quarterly goals to advance programs and measure progress. So they're going to be goals oriented. They hope to plan an annual calendar of events, activities, and programs to be submitted for review and consent by the Board of Alderman. In other words, a community calendar of the Parks and Recreation activities. They are interested in investigating the feasibility of a summer recreation program in coordination with the J.F. Hurley YMCA to be potentially conducted at 8th Street Ballpark. We're just now learning about how we might go about that. They want to work with the town manager and town attorney to draft a memorandum of understanding for the operation of league play and school use of the 8th Street Ballpark. There is not a written agreement that describes what the responsibilities of parties are as it relates to the use of that park, and so they're hoping to get that in writing. They have asked me to notify the town administration about a couple of minor maintenance issues at the library, of some gutters, and apparently there are a couple of trees that need to be replaced. And they've noticed a damaged plenum, which is the exterior ductwork on the HVAC. So they're your eyes in the community on our recreation and community facilities. One of the board members is pursuing the assessment of the condition of the trail signage system in the Sandback Educational Forest, and they will make recommendations for improvements as needed. I will note that we have a distribution of funds on an annual basis. Mr. Sandback set up an endowment that generates funds for maintenance activities in the forest, and so we would look to potentially use those funds for making those improvements. In terms of things to look forward to, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board bylaws will be submitted to the Board of Aldermen next month for consideration, potential adoption. And then the final thing that I have tonight is that the advisory board has asked that a liaison from the Board of Aldermen be appointed to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and so that potentially could be something that would be on the agenda next month.
I think that could be me under
Based on
recreation.
Yeah, probably is. Might have already been.
That was on my list to discuss with Peter. At what point do I start going to those?
Sounds like you should start immediately.
So those were the 8 things that they did in their first meeting. Great, 45 minutes and they were done.
Ooh,
no, they're all
impressive.
business.
Super. All right, that sounds good. Look forward to seeing what you bring to us.
Yes, ma'am. Any questions? Or
do we have anybody for nominations for the director of this board?
Are you asking about the staff position, or are you asking?
No, I'm asking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. They elected officers. I apologize. I should have mentioned that.
Okay, no, I'm not talking about officers of the staff. I'm talking about, do we have a head of the
chair for the committee?
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. They elected Bob Pendergrass as the chairman.
Okay.
Dion Dillon as the vice chair, and Vivian Kuntz as secretary. Those were the 3 officers.
Okay. Let me restate this so we understand each other. Have we hired anybody as far as being the person in charge of this group?
So we have not yet, but that process is underway. There's been 1 round of initial interviews with some candidates.
Okay.
There's going to be another round of in-person interviews next week. Next week. And by the way, Anna's been doing a fantastic job of shepherding that process along.
Okay.
And but yeah, so hopefully either next week, late in the week, we might have a decision. It may take additional time, but I think we're approaching a June, time frame of having somebody here. Hopefully.
All right.
It's an impressive group of candidates.
Is it really?
Yes,
That's good.
It is. Very
That's
impressive.
good.
Good group.
Very good.
It's exciting. So it is. Okay. All right. So I guess since the activity of living report has been given, it's now time for our town manager's report.
All right. Well, a few things I'll mention. We already heard a little bit about the activity at the old building, and just to give you an idea, we moved, I think, well over probably well over 200 items that were in that building. We had 66 items that were claimed by either nonprofits or governmental entities. We had additional 53 items that were purchased by individuals. And then we had the Habitat Restore come and fill up a whole box truck of a lot of the remaining chairs and file cabinets and that sort of thing. And we had staff from every department involved in this process. It was a lot of unpleasant work, but really appreciate all the teamwork that made that possible, and a high level of just cooperation and collaboration. So that enabled us to get the building in really good shape for the contractor to come in, and hopefully for that project to come in under budget, because they're not having to work around a whole bunch of stuff left over. We even had some assistance from law enforcement world. We had some training from Cabarrus County's bomb squad last week that was rocking and rolling some things in that building as part of a training exercise. So if anyone felt disrupted on Friday, we apologize. That was not exactly planned to proceed the way it was, but yeah, so there is an opportunity for additional training to take place. Both that group, I think, wants to come back and cause more trouble. It sounds like they could be a demolition contractor for us if we so wish. But before that, we know our fire and police department want to get in there and do some things that maybe won't destroy the building, but just make use of the unique ability to be operating in a space like that. So that's all to come. But yeah, to me, perhaps that idea of a bomb squad demo project isn't such a bad idea. Cool. On the town park, that continues to be proceeding. The weather this week has pushed us back maybe a few days, because we were hoping the fountain installation would have gotten started yesterday, but they're hopefully now, I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or the next day, but they should be getting started. We're still on track for our goal of getting the facility open at the end of June, and things are going well. Budget-wise, we have raised of our approximately $333,000 of the gap that we needed to raise. We're down to $288 that we need to raise for that. We had our stretch goal of $385, so we have about $51,000 needed to get to that stretch goal. But based on what we have so far, and then we have about $26,000 in contingency still available, we're in a good position to get this project sealed up. Joe's even got a quote in place for getting some furnishings that would be within that contingency amount. So things are looking good in that regard. And the last thing I wanted to mention is, and I like to talk about this each year when it happens, but I think it's important. When in May, a lot of our professional staff in various fields have moments of celebration and recognition. And of course, we've already talked about that last week was Professional Municipal Clerks Week, May 4th through 10th, but we also had other occurrences that either have or are going to happen this week. Our staff do an outstanding job and do a great job year-round, and they deserve gratitude and appreciation year-round, but I certainly want to make a mention of that today in the midst of these special recognition celebrations that are happening this month. I'm really thankful to be part of an outstanding team who are dedicated to public service and specific serving this community, and the fact that we can work together to do the things we do is just amazing. Our team has a great ability to work together, and they're willing to share their talents to make Spencer a better place. And I think that's wonderful. And that's why we're able to achieve our goals, is because we work together. So just to mention that what we have this month, May 4th of each year is always International Firefighters Day. And then what else takes place that same week typically, and it happened last week. We have Public Service Recognition Week, which is kind of an all-encompassing celebration of everybody in various forms of public service. But again, we had Municipal Clerks Week last week. This current week we're in is National Police Week, and that's taking place right now. And then next week, May 18th to 24th, will be National Public Works Week. So it's a time to celebrate our collective contributions in betterment of this community. But I'm again thankful that I get to be part of this team. Public service is a passion for me, and I can't imagine doing anything else. And I'm really glad that I get to do it together with the team we have here in Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. We appreciate your service and your enthusiasm and your passion. So, and recognition of all of our outstanding staff. So thank you all. Okay, so it's time for comments from the board members. So, Mr. Miller, would you please start?
Well, I guess I would like to echo Mr. Francis' comments about the staff. I commend all the staff, whether it's the fire department, our maintenance department, or our police department, for outstanding work as they do. One last comment. I'm going to back up to something I said about a month ago, and I'm certainly commend Mr. Morris and all of the work that the Park and Recreation Advisory Board has already done. Sounds like they got a good start, but let me stress that we have a park out there. People expect that to be used somehow or another. I think we need to have planned activities, planned events out there for the summer, and the summer is here next month. And I know that's short notice, but we realize that like I made a comment, I don't want this park out here to be like Library Park, where nothing's happening but people walking through. So I'd like to see them maybe stressing a little bit more activities for the future activities in the Library Park, or not Library Park, but our park out here in front. Thank you.
Ms. Moody?
We often talk about wanting people to participate, visit us, give us their feedback. And so I wanted to thank all the individuals who participated last week in the public hearings for the annexation and rezoning of part of parcel 051052 located along Willow Creek Drive, addressed as 1230 Longboy Road. I really appreciated all the feedback. And so that was just wonderful to have some community members here. So keep it up. Thank you so much for that. And as always, just the weather's getting warmer. School's going to be out soon. Be really careful when you're driving. Be mindful that there's going to be a lot of kids out. And remember that, if they're on their phone and you're on their phone, that's not a great combination with a car and a kid. So just try and make safe decisions.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. Mr. Howell?
Yeah. First, I don't remember the name of the individual who we approved the annexation and rezoning today. Ms. Wilson. We welcome Ms. Wilson and appreciate her addition to our town. And that's going to be a fantastic, I love the picture. That's going to be a fantastic facility out there. So thank you to her and welcome. I think second, to build on something Mr. Frenzy said a moment ago, I think it's just beyond fantastic that Mr. Franzese and Joe and everyone who's helped with getting these that $300, almost $400,000 in donations on this park. I don't think they even realize how important, not just getting it done, but just the community trust that the community's put into us to get this done. You guys have delivered. So well done. I think that's a fantastic testament to what we're trying to do and the efforts you guys have done. So I think you guys deserve a huge pat on the back for that. I'm not gonna, I was a little nervous when we talked about it back in maybe September, October, about, basically kind of fronting $400,000 on faith. But you guys, you stood up and said, no, I think we've got it covered. And that's okay. All right. So Well done, well done. I have to. I'm pleasantly surprised that it was as easy as it was. Also, I do have an email I'm gonna send you guys. On that note, Mr. Miller, there's a music grant program, and you may have gotten this as well, Mr. Franzese, that actually they'll help fund summer music programs. And I was a little late to probably do that this year, but just something on the radar. It's actually quite a bit of money available to help fund those types of events. So I'll send that to you guys afterward.
It'd be great.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Well, I want to echo some of the comments that have been made here, and thank all the people who worked so hard and made contributions and worked so hard to get those grant funds and keep them coming. Thank you, Joe. It's good to be in a town like this where we have a group of people who work well together, and I think we have that here in Spencer, both in our citizens, our board, our staff, and I'm just glad to be here. I will tell you, I've won tickets to the Antiques Roadshow, and so I took with me a little chair that came out of the old building over there. It was a little child's chair, and I'm thinking that maybe it came from the elementary school that was over there. I'm not sure, but there were 6 of them, I think, that were over there, and I bought 2 of them. I paid $1 each, so large investment there. But I took it with me to the Antiques Roadshow and had it appraised, and the appraiser looked at it, and he told me that it was probably made in High Point. It was he looked at the bottom of the slat of the seat and could see that it had been machined done. It's like a little Windsor chair with a bent frame and little what do you call spindles in the back.
Yeah.
Just a cute little thing, and it's made of ash, and it was steamed to bend the wood. At one time it had been varnished, but the varnish had worn off over the years, and he thought it probably was no newer than 1910. So my little $1 chair he valued between $100 and $200. So it's a piece of
Can you find somebody to pay you that much?
I don't know. It's not for sale, actually. But it was.
You might be able to let Percy sit in it.
I might. I actually might. I could do that with him. But it's a piece of the Spencer history, and I was just intrigued by that. I also bought a little painting a little print that said, "You might be on the right track, but if you sit still, you'll get run over." So I didn't take that with me to the road show because I had something else I wanted to take. But it's a piece of the history of this town, and I just wanted to share that with y'all. So thank you. And that's all I have for now. This meeting is not going to be closed tonight. We're going to recess this meeting until May the 22nd at 6 o'clock. I guess I should have asked if there was need for an executive session tonight, and I don't believe there is. So this meeting will be recessed until Thursday, May the 22nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Hilda B. Palmer boardroom. And do I need a motion for that?
Wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to recess?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Moody.
I'll second.
Mr. Howell, thank you. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, no. Motion carries, and this meeting is in recess until Thursday the 22nd. Thank you all for your participation, and have a great rest of your week.